Hello, how are you? Welcome back to the podcast. I am here with some words of love and encouragement, and I want to be your reminder that you get to decide how you experience this season. I just wrapped up my final client call for the year. And over the last few weeks, I have been talking to so many of my clients who are mamas and wives and business owners and friends and sisters and daughters and aunts. And man, we play a lot of roles. And I think it is so easy this time of year to really get caught up in all of the to-dos and all of the places that we need to be. And for so many of us, I know it can feel a little depleting and a little exhausting to try to remember all of the things that need to be done and purchased and all of the people that we need to consider as we are walking through these holidays. And I just wanted to come in here and give you a reminder that at some point you get to decide when what you have already done is enough. And I'm saying that because I was accidentally delivered a circumstance of a deadline for Christmas earlier this week, which meant by the 15th, I was Christmas ready because we are traveling between now and Christmas Eve. And it was the most incredible accidental blessing that I didn't know I was giving myself when I booked this trip. And I had the thought that at any point, we can decide that whatever is done is enough. And so I just want to give you that option. I want you to consider that maybe within the next few days, today is the 18th, maybe within the next day or two, you can decide that whatever you have done up until this point or up until a point you decide on gets to be enough. I have heard a couple of my clients talk about how they get to this point where they think they're done and then maybe they start to panic buy or they start to scramble and add more things to their to-do list or people to buy for or people to see list. And I think it's easy to do that when we are existing in what I call like a low-level survival mode, where our brain has convinced us that we are behind and that there is always more to do and that it's never enough. We start to think of other things that we need to add on top of the list that we already have. And I just want to remind you that that doesn't have to play a role for you this year. You can decide at any point that whatever you have done thus far is enough. And you get to give yourself the hypothetical cutoff that I gave myself on the 15th. And I got to be honest, it has been amazing because, yes, I stayed up until about midnight on Monday, the 15th. But since then, I have been existing as the most regulated version of me that has ever existed, I think, especially since becoming a mom between then and now. And it's all because I gave myself this hypothetical deadline of whatever is done at this point gets to be enough. And so the last few days, I have just been enjoying the days. I haven't been racing around. I haven't been adding a bunch of other things to my cart. I have just decided that whatever was done that night on the 15th was enough. And it has freed me so much from the scramble that I think I so often get pulled into. And I know that so many of you are probably existing in right now, which leads me to my next reminder. I love borrowing from my future self. And I will be talking a lot about this on this podcast because it is one of my most frequently used tools when it comes to mindset and really taking power over my experience. And when I say my future self, sometimes I'm talking about my future self, like my 80-year-old self. Sometimes I'm talking about a version of me that maybe exists 5 or 10 years down the road. Sometimes I'm talking about, a version of me that exists later this year or into next year. But what I really want you to connect to today, when I imagine you connecting with your future self, is I want you to connect with the version of you that sits on the other side of these holidays, of these next few weeks. And I want you to imagine just cozying up with her for a cup of coffee. And I want you to say to her, I really want to be who you want me to be these next few weeks. What do you want to look back and see? How do you want these next few weeks to feel? What intention do you want me to be rooted in as I walk through these final few weeks and this holiday season of 2025? Because here's what I know about our future self is she is not being driven by her emotions, and she is not being driven by her survival brain. She is regulated. She is calm. And when she looks back on what she wants to see, she has so much wisdom and clarity because she is not existing in your current emotional state. And so when I imagine, I'm going to call her my January 2nd self because that's on the other side of most of Christmas break for me and my kids this year. If I imagine sitting down with my January 2nd self and asking her, what do you want to look back and see? How do you want these few weeks to feel? And what intentions do you want me to be rooted in for the final days of 2025? Here's what she says. She says, I just want you to be present. I just want you to be where your feet are. I want you to feel connected. I want you to make decisions that align with what you actually want for this season. I want you to simmer in the goodness that is all around you. I want you to allow yourself to enjoy this part. Because what she also knows is that there's a version of us that exists down the line that wants these moments back. And most of the time when we want moments back, it's because there's something in us that knows that maybe we could have slowed down and enjoyed it just a little bit more. And so that's what my January 2nd self says. She says, make the decisions that align with who you want to be for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for the people that you get to walk these final few weeks alongside. Slow down, simmer in all the goodness. Set down your worries about what's not done. Set down your worries about what other people might think. You get to choose you. You get to choose to wake up every morning and check in on yourself and ask yourself how you want each day to feel. You get to pause as many times as you need to throughout your days and fully reset. You can go back to the episode where I teach you my reset ritual. Believe me when I tell you I've been using that on repeat these last few weeks, and I will continue to use it as my go-to tool when I need to reset and regulate my nervous system and reset my mind. These are the little gifts that we can give ourselves so that when we get to January 2nd or we get to the other side of this beautiful time of year, we can actually say we enjoyed the beauty of it. We can actually say we were present to it because that's what she wants. She's also begging you to let what you've done now be enough. I think she's got the wisdom to know that it's not about the number of gifts or the number of things that you say yes to. It's how you experienced all of it, who you chose to be in the midst of all of it. Remember, we are human beings, not human doings. This is a really beautiful moment to remind yourself of that. So give yourself the gift of setting the deadline of when enough is enough and then cozy up with that future version of you that waits on the other side of these final few weeks of 2025 and just ask her what she wants to see. She has so much wisdom, you guys. Our future self is so wise. And listen to what she says. Borrow from that wisdom. Let her lead you, because she has set down the survival primal mechanism of your brain, and she knows exactly what movie she wants to see when she looks back at these final 2 weeks of this year. Give yourself this gift. Use this tool to get honest about what you want and get wise about how you want to feel through these final few weeks, and then give yourself the gift of allowing yourself to exist in those feelings, to be present to what is good, to be in the magic of this season, because man, if we let ourselves, it really is such a magical time. I am sending you so much love. I am going to take next week off of this podcast and be present with my people. I will be back the week after Christmas. I am so grateful for all of you. I am so thankful for all of you who are listening in and following along and sharing it and telling me about how it's meeting you right where you're at. I'm so grateful, and I'm so, so happy that you're here. I wish you the happiest holidays, whatever you celebrate, and I am sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next episode.